Would you like to increase the handling and stance of your Jaguar XF or XFR without going too far, without ruining it for UK public roads? This kit may be just the kit for you. Hi guys, I wanted to present to you our new Wraptor handling package for the Jaguar XF and XFR, consisting of an uprated rear lower strut brace that will replace the horrible rusty one that is typically fitted to these cars with new stainless steel fixings, a couple of poly bushes for the front lower arms, some German-made TUV-approved hub-centric wheel spacers, front and rear, and we're about to do some custom work on the suspension springs. Now, there's lots of so-called upgrades for cars these days that strictly aren't really upgrades, are they? They're just things you can buy to change it. It doesn't necessarily make it better or any more valuable or desirable or anything like that. So how does this kit actually improve the car? Well, let me talk you through the physics of it a little bit. How we can enhance the suspension and the geometry to make the car better. Okay, so first things first, basic principle of when the car is narrower and higher. I'm going to zoom in on that bit because I don't think you're going to see that on the camera. Let's have a look. Okay, so one basic principle that we're going to be applying is we're going to make the car lower and wider. Obviously it looks well cool, but that's not how it's going to help us with the handling as such. The basic principle to start with is something that is taller and narrower is easier to push over than something that is lower and wider, okay? So obviously that is going to be much more stable than that. So that's sort of the first basic principle. Okay, also, yeah, we're creating a lower centre of gravity, basically there, okay. But that's not the only benefit. By making it lower, we're also going to be increasing the amount of negative camber angle we have at the same time. So let's talk wheel geometry, okay. So I'll try and draw this out nice and basic and hopefully you guys understand. Here we go. So, if we were to look at the wheels from the front or the rear of the car, not the side, not from a bird's eye view, front or rear, so it looks something like this, okay? So we're looking at kind of the tread of the tyres there, left and right wheel, here's our suspension arms, hope that makes sense, and we've got a steering rack going to a steering wheel there, okay? Let's zoom in a bit. Okay, so here's our wheels, and then we've got the tyres here and here, and then same on this side. Okay, so again, going in a straight line, you've got lots of tyre to road contact surface area, so you've got a lot of grip. When you go around the corner and the weight tries to transfer, you end up with something that looks a little bit like this, okay? And then you've got less tyre to road contact surface area, therefore less grip. We can help offset that using negative camber. So you'll have a little bit built into the car anyway, but we're going to increase that slightly to increase the cornering capability and grip. So, by having the wheels at more of an angle, I'm going to over exaggerate this slightly, okay? It's just a drawing. By having them kind of more like this, if that makes sense, tyre, tyre, when we corner and the wheel is trying to fold, kind of like so, or the tyre is trying to fold like so, you end up with a lot more tyre to road contact surface area, therefore more grip. So if we look at this one, where we've got kind of zero or standard factory camber, we've got less contact area between the tyre and the road surface. And then when we increase the negative camber angle, we've got more surface area contact patch, therefore more grip. Now it also depends very much how you want your car set up. Do you want the car to basically be really grippy in a straight line, or do you want it to be grippy around the corners? Well, for me, I would rather have that extra negative camber, knowing that it's going to grip better in the corners, because going in a straight line, why do you need maximum grip going in a straight line? It's pretty straightforward and easier to control, isn't it? On top of that, of course, we're going to be installing our rear lower uprated brace. Now, by bracing the car, you basically decrease the amount of flex the body and chassis has. So that can allow the suspension and steering geometry to work correctly as designed without being compromised by having flex in the body. Now, you could go all out and add much more braces and a roll cage and stuff everywhere on the car to really increase the rigidity of the body. But I think our rear lower uprated brace is a nice easy install, and it's great that it replaces the flimsy rusting pre-existing ones that are on these cars. Now let's talk bushes. This type of bush. That's the bush I mean. Suspension bushes for your car. Or more specifically, in this case, your Jaguar XF. So we're going to be installing uprated bushes in these. These are what I like to call the banana arms. No prizes for guessing why. Yeah, it's shaped like a banana. Strictly, that's not the name for them. The real name is the front axle, lower arm, front arm, because that's what it is. Basically, they've got so many suspension arms on these cars because they're multi-link suspension. So if you describe it as the banana arm, it's the easy one to identify then, isn't it? Here we are. Now, they've got two joints, one this end, one this end. This one is a very large bush, and this end is what is often mistakenly referred to as a bush, but strictly is not actually a bush, and I'll talk you through that shortly. So this big bush in here is a very large one, which means it's got a lot of flex in it. Now it's actually designed to do that. The idea of the bushes flexing, they absorb bumps and vibration from the road and make your Jaguar drive nice and smooth, which is great. However, with a bush so large like that, when you try to input steering, a lot of that effort is absorbed by this bush flexing, and it means your road wheels don't actually turn so instantaneously. So if we replace this bush with our uprated, stiffer bush, that means when you input the steering, the actual road wheels respond quicker and give you more instantaneous steering, therefore better drivability. Now, think, well, that's great. Why don't I just have performance bushes around the whole car? Because, you know, places often do kits and a bush for nearly every bit of the car, right? Well, I wouldn't recommend that either. Bear with me. Now, here's the thing. That may be okay on a race car or something that goes around a perfectly smooth track, but it's no good driving it on the public road because it will vibrate the car to bits and the ride will be horrible. Now, you may be thinking, well, I'm okay with a bumpy ride, I don't mind it a firm ride, that's okay. No, you can literally decrease the handling capability of your car if you go too far. And I'll try and explain on the whiteboard. That may be a Jaguar XFR bonnet. Cooler than a whiteboard though, right? Thanks Ian for donating me the bonnet, by the way. I still use it, it's really cool. Okay guys, here goes. Hope you keep with me. So, here we have a traditional UK and other parts of the world road. This is the road surface.
Something screwy here.
No, that's wrong, obviously, isn't it? The road surface these days is more something like this. Let's be honest. And here's what happens. If we pretend this is our wheel and tyre, we know it's a bush because I've just told you this, but pretend it's just the road wheel of a car, for example. Okay, and then it follows in all the bumps, etc., like this, as you drive down the road. Okay? Now, if we make our suspension too stiff, basically the wheel will not actually follow these bumps down, but it will skip over them, okay? It will just skip over them like that. Now here's the problem. When it skips over them, and it's, for example, here, it's not actually touching the tarmac anymore, okay? It's skipping over those bumps, losing tyre to tarmac contact, therefore reducing grip. So your car can be very skittish and jumpy. So I don't know if you've ever driven like a load of very stiff car around a country lane, for example, trying to think, oh, this road's fun, you know, a bit of spirited driving, and go around the corners, and actually it's bumping and skipping everywhere, and you're probably going to go faster in a car with softer suspension because your wheel and tyre is remaining in contact with the tarmac more often, giving you more grip. So yeah, don't go too hard on a road car, basically. Now, back to my banana arm. The so-called bush in this end is not actually a bush. It is a type of ball joint known as a rose joint. It looks like a bush because a bolt goes through it and out the other side, just like this end. But actually, this isn't designed to flex at all, unlike a bush. This is only designed to swivel, and basically it's like a ball in a cup that's greased, and that's it. And that's what's inside this rubber gator that's just basically keeping the grease in and all the dirt and water out. Okay, so there's no flex whatsoever, it's just designed to swivel. So that'll give you a very instantaneous steering and suspension responding setup. Unlike this end, which makes the whole system a bit more sloppy, but absorbs all those horrible vibrations and makes your car drive nice and smooth. Now, touring cars and things like that, they actually only have these all over. They don't have any bushes at all. Again, the reason for that is they're driving on a perfectly smooth track. They don't need to absorb those, you know, harsh vibrations and things like that from discrepancies in the road. But by changing these, because these are the main things out of the whole steering and suspension setup, these bushes are the main ones that flex considerably when you give it that input of steering from the driver. So by changing these and nothing else, you're still retaining a nice, smooth, comfortable ride. You will feel vibration a tiny bit more, and I mean a tiny bit more than standard, but in return you've got a much faster responding steering, and the car's just much more pleasurable to drive if you like going for a spirited drive, or if you like to go on a racetrack and then be able to drive the car home again afterwards. So these are the only ones that I'd recommend changing. On top of that, there's something you guys need to be aware of that I discovered the hard way, and that is these performance sort of suspension bush suppliers. They make these for almost any joint on the car, right? Including some of these. I've seen suspension like wishbones and stuff where you actually remove this, mistakenly identified as a bush when it's not, remember, and then you install one of these.
Well, that doesn't make it any better because, again, this is designed to swivel and not flex at all. And what you're replacing it with is something that then actually has a bit of flex in it. So your car will be worse handling with a supposedly uprated bush. Does that make sense? So be very careful which ones you replace. To make it easy, on the Jaguars, I would say if you need to replace any steering and suspension joints, just use OEM front and rear, excluding banana arm, large inner bushes. That one is feasible to put a performance poly bush in. So we've got lower and wider for more stability and a lower centre of gravity. We've got increased camber for better cornering grip. We've got our brace to give the body more rigidity. And we've got our bushes that are going to give us more instantaneous steering. But we haven't overkilled it. We're not going too low, so speed bumps and things like that aren't a problem. It doesn't look stupidly low. It looks kind of like a sporty OEM Plus. And we've still got good tarmac grip even on uneven road surfaces. And now the guys are just pressing in the performance bushes into the front lower arms known as the banana arms. Next, the suspension springs front and rear. So Alex is removing the rear first, followed by the front. And he's chosen to remove the front as a complete assembly, as we know there are particular bolts that can seize up on these and cause some issues if we try to start undoing them. So we've opted to remove them as a complete hub, and we can work on them like this. We then go ahead and adjust the size and positioning of the suspension springs and locating cups. This will lower the car a nominal 20mm. Everything sits all nice and securely as it should from factory, therefore no MOT failures or anything like that. Or at additional cost, we can provide brand new sports suspension springs, both replacing the springs for sports ones or altering the current setup does the same job of lowering it 20mm, making it ever so slightly stiffer, and will have the same drivability. Of course, if your springs aren't in very good condition, then I would recommend replacing them. Here we're installing some hub-centric German-made TUV approved wheel spacers. We go for these because they're strong and they're nice and safe, unlike some of the cheaper alternatives out there which we refuse to fit. Now Alex is installing our Wraptor uprated rear lower strut brace. Now there's another video on YouTube you can watch on how to install this start to finish. It's usually pretty easy. 1 in 10 is very rusty and needs cutting off or needs a slight adjustment to line up the holes, but generally speaking it takes us about 15 minutes on a lift or something like that. And it replaces the crumbling, weak designed one that comes on your car from factory. All these cars, whether it's an XF, diesel, petrol, XFR, XFR-S, they're getting a bit old now, these braces, and they're very rusty, very weak. So our one is stronger in design to give the car more rigidity and a little bit better side impact protection. We've got some plastic end caps which slot in the side to help protect it from dirt and water, and then we actually replace the fixings for nice new stainless steel ones as well. We're about to install a Wraptor carbon fibre steering wheel to this Jaguar XF. Here's the standard one, you can see what that looks like. Now time for the upgrade. So this vehicle was in for more than our handling package. This also received a Wraptor carbon fibre flat bottom steering wheel, a Wraptor level 2 tuning package and more. whilst it was in the workshop.
So it has real carbon fibre, flat bottom, coloured 12 o'clock marker, coloured crisscross stitching, perforated leather rather than smooth, improved thumb and palm grips. When you drive it, it feels so much nicer. Right, package installed. Let's take it for a drive. I'm super happy with the package we've come up for on the XF. It's just enough. There's no comfort loss, no loss of drivability or anything like that. As a daily car, it's still fantastic, but it holds the road better. So it's lower for a lower centre of gravity. It's wider to make it more stable. It's got slightly increased camber, which is desirable round corners for maximum tyre to road surface grip. We've got the rear brace on the back to add strength and stability and rigidity. And of course we've got the bushes in the front, and that gives you more instantaneous steering. It does mean you can feel the road a little bit more, and I mean a little bit, but it's not excessive. If you lower the car too much, if you put performance bushes everywhere around the car, they get quite shaky and rattly. But this setup, no, it's just nice. Now this car has just so happened to receive some other work whilst it's in, and it's got the Wraptor carbon fibre steering wheel with improved thumb and palm grips, perforated leather, flat bottom steering wheel, so you've still got more room for your legs for getting in and out, and also if you wish to have your steering wheel lower whilst driving, it's got the 12 o'clock coloured marker at the top in the carbon, and you know, you feel it in your hands the whole time you're driving it, and you can glance down and look at it, and it's I don't know, it's just such a nice addition, especially when you've got that handling package. It just makes the car feel that step nicer again. Here we go. She's got some poke, some torque. So whilst this car has been in with us, it's also received a supercharger service / rebuild, a Wraptor level 2 tuning package, which is typically good for around 600 horsepower, model dependent. It's had some meaty rear mufflers put on the back, whether you can hear that. And it's also had a gearbox service, amongst some other bits and bobs and things and stuff. I'm on the downshifts and it's popping away. Anyway, I'm focusing on the handling package and it drives absolutely great. It's just the next level up from your sort of standard Jaguar wallowy kind of suspension and stuff. Now these cars handle surprisingly well for a big car, and it's a heavy car. It's made of steel, it's not aluminium, but it does help with its active electronic rear differential and its active electronic suspension dampers. Now we've increased the handling again with our Wraptor handling package. Now you can purchase the item separately if you wish, but as a package, of course, there is a discount, and we can typically do it in a day whilst you wait. We spent a lot of time on these cars and we figured out what works well, what responds well, and then we're quite particular on what parts we use, and some of the parts in this kit we actually engineer ourselves as well, because there are cheaper stuff out there, especially when it comes to like wheel spacers, and we won't install the cheap ones. We want to know that they're safe, they're reliable, and they work well.
I've got an idea. Where's Alex? Alex, you here?
Yeah.
You've driven these things before, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah? Come and drive this one and tell me what you think. Up for it?
Yeah.
Let's go.
It's working.
Is it?
It's working.
How do you know?
Because it's got a bar thingy up there with the sound. Alright, let's see what Alex thinks. This is the test.
Actually feels like way more like stiffer, and you touch it's like faster,
Yeah.
faster turning and everything.
Faster responding.
Yeah,
steering.
faster responding. Yeah. It's way better. Steering wheel, big improvement.
You like the steering wheel?
Yeah,
Sure, Mr. Cyclist. There it is.
not happy with the noise.
Torquey as well, huh?
Yeah, and funny, the nice thing is, although it's lowered,
Yeah,
it's still comfortable even on the bump.
exactly right.
But you notice when you get to the corners and you give it that steer, it's there. It's not like
instant,
the, yeah,
isn't it?
instant. Yeah.
It's not like wallowy.
Yeah. Standard they all look like whoa.
Yeah.
Boat feeling, yeah.
That's it. Yeah, more boatish. Not a bad car from factory.
Yeah, but obviously like
This helps. It helps, right? Yeah. So is that a thumbs up?
yeah, thumbs up.
Oh, good man. Thumbs up from Alex.
Thumbs up.
So in a straight line, feels great. On the motorway, it feels great. Over bumps, it's not too harsh or anything like that. And it's not too low either, although we've lowered it. Speed bumps and things, still not a problem. It's still got decent ground clearance. Although the less ground clearance it has means the less air passing underneath the car, which also makes it more aerodynamic. Now we've decided to lower it 20mm evenly all round, which means the rear of the car is still slightly higher than the front, as from factory. That's because we don't want an air wedge building up under the car. If you imagine if the rear of the car was lower and the front was higher, you're kind of trying to scoop all of that air into a smaller space like a wedge, and that can effectively lift the car or put drag on the car, or both, which we don't want. Not only that, you know, the front suspension isn't going to go much lower when you load up the car with weight, but as we have more passengers and more luggage in the boot or trunk, obviously the rear suspension will go down, so we've allowed that tolerance as well. So I'll reiterate, we haven't gone silly on anything here. This is a nice all-round package, kind of an OEM plus, I would describe it as. So it still makes a lovely daily driver, but you've got increased handling capability, and I absolutely love it. Well guys, hope you've enjoyed the vid of the installation of our Wraptor handling package for the XF. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, feel free to comment. Please do click that subscribe button. Keep an eye out for lots more Jaguar and car modification content. And if you'd like this kit for your car, please do send us a message. The email is info@wraptorcustoms.com. We'll leave the link in the description. Alternatively, if you'd like to buy the parts for this package only, they will be available shortly on the Wraptor Design website, or visit wraptorcustoms.com/shop. Now remember, we do this and much more. We offer full vehicle customization, service and repair. So if you need anything, don't hesitate to get in touch. And I'll see you next Wednesday, midday, making your middle of the week hump day a little bit less boring. On Wraptor Customs.